Geeksphere TV, where we talk about everything from film, game, gadgets and technology. I'm your host, Bradley Burrows, and to my left here I've got the lovely Skip Parker.
Morning.
And I've got the gorgeous Craig Brock as our special guest.
And I'm just scared.
Yeah, we're all a little tired and delirious. It's been a long morning. But look, before we kick over to why we're all tired and delirious, we're going to kick over to a new Leap Motion video that's just come into the studio. So what you've got there is a new Leap Motion controller, which is going to go on sale between $69 and $89 in the US. It's a small cigarette-sized box, and it gives you the power of a Kinect in your hand, and that's a Windows 8 demonstration. What do you think?
That is awesome. I want one. I really do. I don't know why I'd want one, actually. I mean, it's not as if I'm going to be going into my spreadsheets or anything. But
Yeah, you never know.
oh, you could do, I guess, yeah. It looks great.
What do you think?
It kind of takes me back to Minority Report. Look, it looks fantastic. I'm sure it's going to have some wonderful uses. I'm sure there'll be a lot of naysayers go, well, why do I need that when I've got a massive touchscreen if you have one?
Yeah, and I think also the key thing is it works across Linux, Macs, and Windows-based platforms. So looking very, very cool piece of technology for us to get into.
Very cool.
Right, let's get into the news. So I suppose one of the big announcements that had happened earlier in the week is Google I/O. Now, what is Google I/O, Skip?
Okay, so Google I/O is effectively Google's development conference. It's what they do each year just to sort of focus on what developers need to know about what's changing with Google, what's happening with Android, and how you can just sort of dial into that ecosystem, basically.
So there's obviously lots of announcement. What for you have been sort of the two big ones that have come through?
Okay, big ones for me have been what Google are doing with its data. So we're looking at the Google Now and we're looking at Google Maps as the main things, and tying them into their new devices like the Androids and of course Google Glass.
So Google Now, it's a new service that we really don't know much about. Let's cut over to the video and have a look at that.
Now let's fast forward to my trip to Santa Cruz. Here I am enjoying the beautiful weather with my kids. We're going on the kiddie rides. But you know what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how I can get back to the Giant Dipper, that old wooden roller coaster. I don't know if my kids are tall enough to ride it, so we can walk over and check. Or wouldn't it be more convenient to just ask Google? How tall do you have to be to ride the Giant Dipper?
You must be at least 4 feet 3 inches tall to ride Giant Dipper.
Nice. Looks like my son can go on. My daughter's too short, so my husband's going to have to wait this one out. So the next thing I'm going to have to check is will I have enough time to get to the Giant Dipper and get back in time for my reservation? Now Google Now anticipates my information needs. So when I swipe up into Google Now, I see the reservation right here. It's at 2 p.m. and it's only 5 minutes away. So now I know I can make it over to the roller coaster in time. And when I come back, I can click on this navigate link and get turn-by-turn directions right to the restaurant.
So, Brad, you can see that what they've done is they've taken that huge amount of data that Google's held and captured from various sources, and they've just basically dialed it into a user experience that's really, really user-friendly. It's a really nice device, I reckon.
Yeah, look, they're starting to bring all their ecosystem together, I think is looking really, really good. Now, what's probably the second big one for you that's come through from the Google I/O conference?
Okay, now what's really funny about Google is they're doing a lot of things on the web, and it's very much based around their Chrome browser, although they are supporting other devices. The other big one is Google Maps, and Google Maps has a phenomenal upgrade coming. It's not available yet. You can sign into the preview to have a look at it and get a preview code. But rather than talking about it, I'm going to show you some of the things that they've been doing at Google I/O.
This is the new Google Maps. Focusing the design and the interactions on the map has made everything simpler and a real pleasure to use. The map is rich and beautiful with vibrant colors and textures.
So this is a computer running Chrome, and we're using the latest open standards like WebGL to make the experience really smooth and snappy. These are vector maps in a browser. So now let me tell you a little story. I just moved here about a year ago. This is a nice neighborhood, and it was an exciting time as I got to explore a new area. And I love exploring, and so one of the first things I did was search for restaurants. And this is our new search experience. No more just 10 pins. All the results are labeled directly on the map. This makes exploring really fast and easy. And the top results, they come with a useful description that gives you a flavor of the place. So now let's see how we can get there. So we could click here on directions, but for the most common case, there's an even simpler way. See, my home is right there on the map, and it says a 16-minute drive. So if I want to get directions from my home, I can just click on that. And this is our new directions experience. A great new thing is that we directly compare driving with public transit on the map. And that's going to be really useful because this weekend we won't have a car. And we wanted to make public transit much, much, much smarter. Before, we showed you the next 3 departures. But now we are going to look at every departure, every second for the entire next week and summarize that for you. So you can see here that you can take any of these lines and they run every 3 minutes. So that makes taking public transit so much easier. And if you want more details, you can use our new schedule viewer.
Brian talked about earlier, we've collected tons of imagery, and we made it a real focus of the design to make sure it's easy and fun to explore.
So my friends, they're from Rome, and so they insist that next time I come and visit them. So let's take a trip. So this is a really nice 3D model of the St. Peter's Basilica, but can we have a more realistic view? No plugins, no downloads. This is the Google Earth experience right here on a browser. So we jump back out, and as we're zooming out, and we're leaving the Earth's atmosphere, you can see the whole world. And those clouds, they're real time. But we can go further. So this is the Earth traveling through space. And you can see the stars in the Milky Way at the right position. And as the sun sets behind the Earth, the night lights come out. And this is the future of Google Maps.
I mean, again, it's that Google data that's really starting to come to the forefront. Yeah. They did a couple other things around other things like Google Plus and the glasses side of things. It's really slick. But really what Google's doing is they're really answering the question, how do they take that data that they've had in databases all over the globe and send that through to customers in a really user-friendly way. One thing to add to it, they're releasing a new Nexus phone.
Oh,
so
cool.
that's being upgraded, and that's actually going to be their Samsung S4. Galaxy S4 in disguise. What they're doing is they're taking the hardware and they're just putting on the Nexus core. So I think that's a really nice device. The downside is it is a pricey device, and it didn't sort of weigh too well with the crowd when they announced that. So who knows? The Nexus will be a very nice device if you can afford it. So it'll be interesting to see how the market picks that up.
Now, we've condensed Google I/O down into about 4.5, 5 minutes here. So
Yeah.
it was a very big event. The keynote itself went for 3 hours. So we've just given you a quick snippet. If you do want to know some more about it, go to Google and do a search for Google I/O, or go to Bing and do a search on there. Right now, probably the main reason why we're all so tired at the moment was Microsoft announced their new Xbox this morning as a consumer presentation of really what's going on.
Yep.
So I think I want to frame this before we go too far. This was not the gaming one. The gaming one's going to happen at E3 in a couple of weeks.
Right.
So this was their launch around, hey, we're coming out, we're showing you what we've got to do. It has been an interesting morning on what's actually happened.
It's been chaos. I think the best thing to do, let's just throw to that video of how Xbox got launched.
So that's the new Xbox One that Microsoft released. Now, Craig, you got the specs for us on what actually is inside this beast.
I do. So it's an 8 gigabyte, 8-core CPU, much like the PlayStation 4, and it's got a 500 gig hard disk. Now, the hard disk is actually what's brought up a bit of a tripe today, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So yeah, certainly, as we all expected, it's essentially a PC architecture, and running Microsoft's Xbox dashboard OS tied into the rest of their architecture.
So one of the big things for me was that it's got a Blu-ray drive, and it's obviously the Windows 8 kernel. So the kernel is obviously what starts this device up, and it's all using the same as the Windows 8 product line that we've got here, and obviously on a lot of other devices. Skip, what are your thoughts?
Look, I really liked what they brought out today. I thought the hardware was on par with what Sony were doing, so no major surprises there. Interesting to see that both Sony and Xbox have gone for the same processors. Exactly the same processors, AMD Core. So clearly everyone's trying to simplify the development path for these things, so it makes it easy for game companies. There's a lot of contention about the form factor. I don't know about you guys. I thought it was pretty good, actually, to be honest. I mean, it's an entertainment box. It's going to sit under my TV, right?
Yeah, and I think you've just raised a good point there. Microsoft's strategy has been around taking all of these different devices and bringing it into one device. And Craig, I know you're a big sort of home theatre guy.
Yep.
For you, do you see this as that one device to rule them all?
Yeah, so like I was looking at creating myself an HT PC or media PC, and essentially, one, this looks like one, and two, the only reason I was going to go down that path was I needed a Blu-ray player, and I didn't want to use my PlayStation because it was limited to pretty much that. So for me, and I'm sure a whole bunch of other people out there, this is going to be their media PC.
Now, you raised a good point. Now, what we've actually got on the new Xbox is the ability to plug in a TV, pretty much. So for customers here in New Zealand, you better plug in your Sky. For customers in Australia, Foxtel. Obviously in the US, there's a lot more services. Now, they showed us the US services up and running. Let's cut to the video and have a look at what we've got to see there, and we'll come back.
What if a single device could provide all your entertainment? And what if that device could turn on your TV and talk to all of the devices in your living room? And what if it was always ready and connected? Well, now it's all going to begin with two simple words. Xbox on. And it's that simple. Xbox One instantly recognizes me and gets me to my own personal home screen. No more manual login, no more waiting on system or game updates. Now, the home screen, as you can see, has a familiar interface. But let me point out for you a couple of unique differences. First of all, it'll remember what I was last doing. So for example, here in the center of the screen, you can see I was playing one of my favorite racing games. You can also see I was listening to some music by Deadmau5 and watching a movie. Now, like many of you, I also discovered new entertainment based on what my friends like. And for that, we create a new area called Trending. Here I get a snapshot of what is popular in the entertainment world, both with my friends and with the entire Xbox Live community. Of course, I can still browse the great content I've come to love on Xbox, such as games, TV and movies, and music. Xbox Go Home. Now that you've seen the start screen and home experience, let's do what millions of people do every day when they turn on their TV. Guess what? They watch TV. It sounds simple and obvious, and it should be, but today it isn't because of the need to change inputs to get to live TV. All that is going to change with Xbox One. Let me show you. Xbox, watch TV. And with that simple command, I'm watching live TV. Now here in Seattle, I'm a Comcast subscriber, so this is the programming available in my area. But hold on. Let me show you how we're going to take live TV and make it not only integral to the Xbox, but also incredibly useful through a great new feature called instant switching. Xbox, game. Go to TV. Go to music. Watch TV. Yes, that fast. Did you see how instant that was?
So obviously that's the entertainment side of it, but it's more than that now. And as we talked about, it's this all-in-one, hence the name.
Yep.
Now, they obviously integrated Skype, which is the video messaging telephony service that's one of the biggest in the world. What are your thoughts on that?
I loved it, and I liked what I think it was Brian Brushwood said on Twit TV earlier this morning. He said that, look, you know, as a device, it's great to be able to use Skype to get people's attention, to get hold of people. This may actually start transitioning people from traditional telephones to using Skype as their home communication spot, right?
Cut the wire is the terminology. Yep.
And it's he brought up an interesting point. People want to be able to have a device where they can ring in and interrupt and try and get people's attention. That's the whole point of a phone. Skype does this on the TV in a not too inobtrusive way, but still gains those people's attention. So I think it's a great idea.
Now, obviously, to use Skype, they had to have a new video sensor, which is the Connect 2.
Yep.
Craig, what are your thoughts around what they've actually produced?
It looks wonderful. It's obviously a whole new evolution of hardware. It's a lot more powerful. It's a lot more accurate. It picks up voice commands. It's just a whole leap forward. And look, the Connect is already sort of, you could argue, the market leader in the sensor, gaming, and whatever else it's being used for.
Yeah.
All sorts of weird and wonderful things. But certainly, this looks like the next step's going to be great.
Didn't they say in the demonstration this morning it would detect heartbeats?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a demo online that we can put up.
Wow, that blew my mind when they said that. I thought, nah, come on, that's just getting. But they had it. They did show a little bit of it working.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, that's kind of phenomenal.
They showed the wireframe of it looked like a workout game.
Right.
There was a couple of people doing some stuff, and they had your heartbeat down the bottom. And I thought,
wow.
I wonder if that's a sensor based or it's actually from the Kinect. So
far out.
So obviously, what the Kinect sensor is, as Craig mentioned, is a motion controller. It's all high definition. It's mics. It's now built in with Skype as well. Obviously, a lot of the, I suppose, the games and the video services have been built around this. One of the things I really liked was the ability to use hand gestures like this to grab a video, chuck it up onto one side, snip it, and actually have the call coming through but still have the movie playing.
Yeah, that's great.
And you could actually do the multitasking, which you can do with a lot of the modern operating systems. And now, because this is, I suppose, a modern operating system that's running, you get all those benefits of apps, Internet Explorer. One of the other things I liked about it was the Kinect was if the Xbox is off, you could walk in and go, Xbox, power on.
Yep.
And everything turns on, and the voice controls look really, really nice.
Did you pick up it recognised you? So it'll recognise who you are based on your voice, your height, all the rest. So it'll load your profile as well.
Didn't it?
Awesome.
Now, were you telling me around the controllers that the controllers will actually pick up who you are as you move along? Was that something I was reading online around
I
the
think
controllers
it recognises you holding a controller. So
Yes.
you
So if you lift the controller up and do things, it creates a shield type thing in the game. So it has that ability to see that you're holding an object and recognises that object. I mean, the Kinect sensor is phenomenal. In the past, it was, here's my arms.
Yeah.
Now it's able to tell just at which angle my hand is and fingers. The definition is phenomenal.
So they've added a lot more points to the motion wire, the wire image of the person. Just touch on another, back to the Skype. I wondered straight away whether this was going to replace in-game audio.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was sitting there going, I wonder if this will just negate the whole need for, because Xbox Live's got a wonderful audio system built into it already. You create your party and all your mates come in and you invite them to the party and they're automatically on voice channels. But this could be the replacement of that. Just throwing it out there.
So the Kinect is the microphone and all that sort of stuff for you as well.
Correct.
Which is kind of cool to the point that your wife comes in and yells at you because you're playing games and all your mates can hear your wife going off there, right?
Yeah, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
But look, obviously on the games front, it is a games console as well.
Yes.
I think this is one of the big things that on the Twitter sphere and a lot of the websites, they got a bit confused where they wanted, in my eyes, a distinctive game box, a distinctive entertainment box, and you've actually got this blending of the two.
Yep.
Now, it is a hardcore gaming machine.
Yep.
It has got the power of a very powerful PC. Some of the games they showed off for us.
So one of them is Forza, and I think it'd be best for us to actually see Forza in action, just the start of it. Let's throw that video of Forza.
So that's Forza, but that's not the only game titles they announced. Craig, you got a list for us there?
No, so today they talked about having 15 exclusive Xbox release day. So I'll talk about those. They're Assassin's Creed 4, Battlefield 4, and Call of Duty Ghosts, which we'll go into later, Destiny.
I can't wait for that.
Which will get Skip all excited. FIFA Soccer 14.
That's my one.
Forza Motorsport 5, that's my one. Madden 25, NBA Live 14. Quantum Break, Thief, UFC. You can see that EA Games is all in this. And Watch Dogs, which is a great game.
So that's going to be at launch or thereabouts.
A lot of these are to be announced, but certainly I know from today they said
Was there 8 that were going to be
Forza
in launch?
5. Yeah, Forza 5 is definitely one of the key ones. I think Call of Duty Ghosts might be as well.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to find at E3 that they're actually going to cover off the gaming stuff.
Yes.
All the hardcore gamers, which will be interesting because that's obviously when PlayStation will do their obviously announcement about their games as well. So we'll get a really good even comparison of actually what we've got to play with.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about this is let's wait for E3 because I know there's a lot of debate on the net exactly around whether Microsoft stuffed it up today or didn't stuff it up. It was just, it's one of those relative lovers and haters days, right?
It was big time.
I think the problem is we've only just heard a part of the Xbox story. We've only seen a part of the Sony story. It's way too early to start calling winners and losers yet. In terms of things. But the one thing is, isn't it great seeing the games coming through, the detail in the games? Now, we talked about Call of Duty. I was just getting goosebumps looking at the demo reels for Call of Duty.
It was awesome. The dog was cool.
The dog did it for me as well.
Yeah, the detailing, even showing the difference between the previous version that Infinity Ward did and what they're doing now, it was like, wow, we're really making a quantum leap here in the games.
Well, it actually shows they're actually using the architecture of the new Xbox as well, which I really, really liked because a lot of the times when a new platform's released, it takes a couple of game iterations before they say they're sort of enhancing what's going on. Now, I'm excited by what I'm seeing straight out of the box.
Yeah. Look, I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing. I love the fact the sensor is nice and slim, not as bulky as the old one. It fit nicely on top of the flat screen TV, right? The presentation of the box is not too bad. Yes, it may be a little bit grandpa-ish in its appearance, but it'll sit nicely under my grandpa-ish Sky decoder.
It'll fit in the home entertainment system, which is where they want it to play, is my feeling.
Exactly. And I thought the games that they showed today showed a lot of promise for what's coming up at E3.
What did you guys think about the controller?
I like it.
I did. I like the fact that the battery pack's gone at the back.
So do I.
Because that thing's a pain. Yeah. And I just liked the layout. It looks like it's going to be quite nice. I'm hoping it's going to be quite responsive.
New D-pad controller from what I'm reading
so that was one of the big ticket items for gamers out in the industry. They're just, the D-pad, get rid of it, it's horrible. So they've redone that. They've actually redone the whole controller and buttons and you name it. They've talked at length about the X and Y and A buttons. And big thing for me with the controller is I saw they had a new connector on the bottom of it, which is to allow for high def quality So you remember on the old controllers, you could plug in your headset to the bottom of it.
Yep.
So your little wireless headset. That's a really low
Yeah.
bandwidth, pretty bad connection. There's a new, almost like an eSATA connection on there. So I'm just waiting to see what peripherals are going to come out that plug into that.
Now, Craig just brought a great thing to my attention. Obviously, one of the other things that was woven in throughout the entire presentation was Smart Glass.
Yeah.
Did you guys pick up on that as well? Everything was, so for the listeners, Smart Glass is Microsoft's application that allows you on the phone or Windows 8 or Surface devices to remotely access an experience of the Xbox. Is that fair enough?
Yep.
And this is enhanced now and really integrated through. Did you notice that, how they were doing all their Smart Glass stuff?
The one thing that's a little bit disappointing about Smart Glass for me is that there's been a lot of promise around entertainment in Smart Glass as being the second screen to your entertainment. So this is the idea of looking at, say, like Game of Thrones and having Game of Thrones metadata come up alongside the actual movie that's showing.
The map where the person is
Exactly,
real time
but
with
I'm
us.
not actually seeing that happening. So I'm hoping that this time around they're actually starting to get developers and content creators that actually start tying this in and using it.
Yep.
I really hope they do. But yeah, I'm enjoying the fact that the Smart Glass thing's not just restricted to the Microsoft platform, it's also available on the tablets and that sort of thing, Android,
iPhones,
Exactly.
and everything else. So they've gone cross-platform, which is really
brilliant.
good. Look, we've spent a lot of time covering it. It's been a really long day for all of us. Wrapping this up, Craig, your thoughts overall though, ignoring all the fanboy flaming that's going on there, what do you think? Are you happy, sad, or indifferent?
I'm absolutely ecstatic with what they've come up with. To me, it's going to be the box that's going to do everything for me. And I'm really concerned about Sony and their PlayStation, because the only thing that me and a lot of people I know were using the PlayStation for was pretty much Blu-ray, which it now has. So, final thoughts. There's some controversy around old games not working on it. And I'm going to hold my judgment until I see what happens at E3 and when it actually comes out and whether they support it or not.
And that's across both PS4 and Xbox at the moment.
Correct. Yep. Both platforms have said the same thing. So.
Yep.
You?
I was encouraged. I thought it was a good presentation from Microsoft this morning. However, I actually still see this as a neck and neck race because not everything's been revealed yet for both platforms. I think that either Sony are really nervous right now or they're sitting back going, you know what, I think we've done enough. It's going to be either one of those two stories, right?
But we don't know.
Or
We don't know.
they've held back.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's holding back, and we had that reveal video from Sony the day prior to the launch, and it was the blurry picture of the box, and everyone's speculating what it is. No one knows. And so until E3, I think it's an encouraging start towards what we could be seeing as some very cool consoles.
Yeah, for me, I think when I was watching it this morning, I was really pleased in the first 2 minutes to actually see the console.
Yep.
I think that's one of the PlayStation's or Sony's big sort of downfalls of their release. Even if they just had the console there and we could have all gone, okay, it's cool.
Yep.
And I like they did live demos and it was actually working and I could see this thing integrate and they did Skype. I think it fits into my entertainment system well. I'm not too worried about the backward compatibility. I initially got all quite upset about it, but then I thought about it for a while. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to be able to get those games online. It's going to be the same for everything.
How many PS2 games you played recently?
Exactly.
Or Xbox One.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to take it from there. I'm hoping we get a lot of the services down here in New Zealand because anything that comes down to this part of the world or anything outside America, we don't get those services. And that's what's going to make this device hot.
Yep.
And same with the PlayStation. It's going to make it hot. It's got to be global. So, Craig, where can we find you if we want to follow you on the internet?
On the internet, Twitter, Bulldog and Z, and you guys can find the rest on the website.
Cool. And Skip?
I'm at UrbanKiwiNZ on Twitterland.
And for Geeksphere?
Right, so we've got plenty of social networks. Just go to our website, www.geeksphere.tv, or follow us on Twitter at geeksphere.tv.
Cool. And you can follow me at Brad Ward.